Chelsea camp.
Can you introduce me as Brian?
Yeah. Right. You probably are lying.
I just
actually.
look
We're
really
talking
surprised,
now.
like shit. I've said it. All right.
Hello and welcome to the United Stand Christmas special. Hopefully this is going to work. Thanks to the Draughty Devil who's provided us with this in the past, but it's getting its first debut where I can have a couple of guests and hopefully the live comments will work at some point as well. He says with bated breath. Hopefully it will work. But the first thing I want to talk about without further ado is this. There's loads to talk about because it's the Christmas show, but I want to talk about some of these silly results that have gone off this weekend. Very good results for Manchester United. It wouldn't be Christmas if people weren't Wenger, Arsenal fans weren't Wenger out. I've got a can to drink tonight because I've got no bottle, just like Arsenal. There's plenty more. But a week ago, in all seriousness, Arsenal were 3 points off the title, and I will sort the live comments out. I know there's a problem with them. And I think they were something like 10 points ahead of us. A week later, they're 4 points ahead. And I did say about a month ago, if we were in 5 points of top four, we would get it in New Year. So we're 4 points off top four at the moment. I'll go to Alex first. What's your thoughts about Manchester United over the last week? And has that, are you one of these fans who think that top four's there for grabbing now?
Oh, without a doubt. I was thinking a few weeks ago that we have no chance of top four and all of this. But then now what are we? Unbeaten in 10 games, won our last 3 games. I saw earlier that we're in our best form in the last 2 years, statistically speaking. So that means when we have Middlesbrough and Sunderland at home, at Old Trafford, and I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but if we win those 2 games, then surely that would mean that we're in the best form since Fergie. So we're in unbelievable form, and it really pisses me off about how rivals seem to have underrated us this season and underrate a lot of our players, because I think, all United fans, anyone that's watched our games has known that we've been brilliant performance-wise. We just haven't taken our chances. And to be fair, even in these games that we've been winning, we still haven't been as ruthless as we really should have been. But we have been absolutely brilliant. And I think truly now that we'll get top four, without a doubt. And I think we should be more looking on how high up the table we finish rather than top four. I think Chelsea will still win the league. But when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, we're going to be playing nearly double the amount of games as them if you include that we're in the Capital One Cup, Europa League, FA Cup and all that. But in terms of league position, I think top four we should do without a doubt.
Just before I go to Ross, it is Ross, it's not Paul. We're not doing a show about should Rooney be dropped. I've just realised I've used this template that has been kindly provided by Draughty Devil. And
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
He's here now. The idiot I am, I put that in, and even though it's right in front of my chest, I've only just realised that it says should Rooney be dropped. So I apologise for that. The Draughty Devil's just jumped in there, and I know he's only got a few minutes, whereas Ross and Alex should be with me for the duration. Draughty, welcome to the show, and Merry Christmas and all that jazz. Picking up on Alex, what's your thoughts on Manchester United at the moment? And I'm very glad you're on, actually, and I will ask Alex about this later in a minute. I know you're Lingard's number one fan, and he was my man of the half yesterday.
Yeah, no, Lingard, I think everyone knows that me and Alex fly the flag for him week in, week out. Alex obviously owns a Lingard shirt, so are you wearing it tonight, Alex? No, you just got 12 on.
No, but I got this shirt that I'm wearing right now, courtesy of Jesse Lingard. So thank you for that one.
That's all right. Lingard, he's doing the biz at the moment. 24 years old. He can only get better. He's still a young lad. He's got many years ahead of him. He could become a world-class player. I think everyone can agree with that. I just think he's the man of the moment. Everyone should get behind him. Yeah, good guy.
And United.
Yeah, I picked up on that. First of all, I think everyone's probably like, why is he not using his American accent again? I think people know that already. I think it's going to be a bit of a write-off of a season, if I'm honest. I think we're going to be playing catch-up most of the season. I don't think it's going to be a bad one. I think we'll pick up more draws than losses, if anything. I think it'll just be, we'll get into a kind of groove. Chelsea are way too far ahead. Arsenal, they will bottle it, but they'll still get top four. Man City will get top four, and Liverpool, under Klopp, they look a bit more like they got a bit of grit this season. So, We'll probably overtake Spurs, but I think top 4 is a bit of a push. So if we go for the Europa League, then I'll be happy. But I think that's where our priorities lie at the moment. It's actually Europa.
Well, I firmly believe that you can't do both anyway, and February will be interesting. But Ross, I'll bring you in there. Alex very confident and positive. Draughty confident and positive, and Lingard loving, but feels that 5th and the Europa League may well be a good but realistic season. Where are you at the moment?
I totally disagree. I think top 4 is going to be our priority, and I think we're pushing towards that. Let's not forget that sort of year. I know this is not Fergie's era, but year after year, Fergie would have terrible starts and build momentum around Christmas and take that into Jan, February, March, and March time we'll start to sniff around sort of first place. I don't think we're there, but I think that we're building momentum where other teams like Arsenal are losing it rapidly, and depending on how Liverpool will play tomorrow against Everton, if they do drop points, their last sort of 4 or 5 games, the amount of points they would have dropped, it would have been awful. So we're kind of hitting form at the right time when teams around us are dropping. I know we've been very critical in the past of United always failing when other teams drop points, but if we can keep this momentum going, and it's literally game by game at the minute, but another 3 points at Sunderland, another 3 points Middlesbrough, and this momentum will just build, and I think it will push us above all them teams. I really do. Call me a blind United fan, but I really do think that.
Just before I go another round, let's grab some of the comments from the live comments. A few people gutted that City won. You know what? It was the only winner today was always going to be United because we'd make ground on somebody. Zayn Abid said, "Did Draughty just say Lingard can be world class? It's called sarcasm, not ism." Even I screwed that up.
No, I was being deadly serious. Mark.
I know. Thomas Williams says Lingard is a championship player, back on track. Sander Sagers, haha, it pisses Mark off when someone says Lingard is a young player. Well, he's not a young player. Very true. Andrew Jackson, holy crap, Draughty is British. Oi, Alex, have you kept your Lingard shirt? Says Lee Hornsey. Yes, he did. Draughty's great, superb analysis, says George Kyle. Sorry for my language, says somebody, never even noticed it. Should we put Memphis out on loan? I'm glad that Arsenal lost, and love and hate City, says Brad McAnamy. I want to talk about Zlatan. We've got absolutely loads. I'm going to run down Rooney's goals. Best ever United legend in your lifetime. Where will we end up this season? We've done it. LVG and Mourinho, a little bit of a year review. Martial, Rashford and Fosu Mensah, concerns. Next year prediction, Griezmann and Martial swap for Verratti, and much, much more. But I want to talk about Zlatan next. I might not need to play devil's advocate. We'll see what everyone thinks about this. But going back to you, Alex, Zlatan... Lots of criticism. I mean, I kept the tweet up during the Palace game. I said he needs to be subbed when it was 1-1 and we need to get Rashford on. And as is typical, he scored 30 seconds later, which I was ecstatic about, and had United fans going, ha ha ha. I mean, I don't think they understand that I would rather Manchester United win than draw a game. But did said it in the summer. He's a goal every other game man. He's doing better than that at the moment. There has been a lot of hate for Zlatan this season. I wouldn't say, off the top of my head, maybe 20% of United supporters didn't want him, felt he was old and past it. He's scoring the goals. Everyone loves him again now. What's your thoughts on Zlatan and what you're laughing about?
Laughing about people saying that he's old and past it. Literally. Name me one person in Premier League history, and that's literally the entire Premier League history, and that includes Alan Shearer because I know the stats so that he didn't do it, that has been more prolific at 35 than Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the league. Coming into a new league, being that prolific. I linked you guys a stat in the United Stand chat earlier that he's no United player since 2002 with Ruud van Nistelrooy had scored more goals than Zlatan has at the moment. And that's including Ronaldo in 2008, 2009 when Ronaldo was in his absolute pomp at United. That loads of people tried to say, and I'm not by any means like slating Ronaldo, but I'm saying when everyone was like saying Ronaldo, he actually did win the Ballon d'Or that year. But Zlatan scored more than Ronaldo did at this stage of that season. And he's 35 years old. He's on, 16 goals now in all competitions at 35. He's absolutely ridiculous. I see people, and I think that how you're saying about how he's getting slated, which I think is purely down to the person who you also linked in that same sentence, is because of Rashford. obviously, I love Rashford too. Rashford is an amazing player. Rashford will be huge for United. But our top scorer last season was Anthony Martial with 17 goals in all competitions by the end of the season. Zlatan is on 16 by December. We're not even at the end of December. He could still score. What do we have? Sunderland at home next game. He could easily score like 1, 2, 3 goals next game. Yet people are slating him because he's holding back Rashford's progression. Rashford's 19. We're Man United. We're the biggest team in the world. You wouldn't have Real Madrid, Barcelona, anyone having everyone relying on a 19-year-old. Rashford's time will come, and he is still getting game time. He's getting more game time for us than most 19-year-olds would kill for. So how anyone can say Zlatan is beyond me. The thing is, if he didn't go on that drought, that 7-8 games without scoring, and he missed a lot of sitters, and I hold my hands up, I was slating him for missing those chances. But if you look at the top goal scorers in the Premier League right now, he's third. If he would have even taken half of those chances, and they were really easy chances that he missed, he'd be top scorer in the league by a mile.
Okay, just tweeting out Alex slates Ronaldo. We're live. Drawty, you said that you were there about you've been tweeting it quite regularly after every goal with great joy. I think the account that said I can't remind me what they said. Some idiocy about he won't get anywhere near 20 goals, but he's going to comfortably do that. And I think Alex, I know he took about 5 minutes to say it, but the reality is, if he'd scored some of them chances he missed, which he did miss some sitters, he'd be on 20, which is, he's already excelling anyway, and a free transfer as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was where he was missing sitters pretty much all the time, and everyone was getting on his back. And people can sit here going, oh yeah, he's doing brilliantly now. But there was a period where people were going, I don't know, he's 35, he's missing a lot of sitters for United, and a lot of our frustrations were through Zlatan not finishing. So I think the trouble is people only gauge players on the form that they're currently in rather than what they've been doing over the season. Zlatan is world class. I love Zlatan. I actually rate him above Messi and Ronaldo, and I have done for a long time. People can go, oh yeah, but they're better. Yeah, they are better players than Zlatan, but I prefer Zlatan as a person and as a player, and he just excites me. And I just think he's brilliant, and I pretty much have idolised him for a while. To have him in the United team is fantastic, and the way he's actually going about it now, I think it's just taken him a bit of time to adapt to the English game. But how many other 35-year-olds could come off the continent and fit straight into a Premier League team with this physicality of this league and score that many goals?
I'll give you your answer quickly. No one.
Yes. And some Chelsea fans will come in and say Didier Drogba. I know, Alex. But that's what the season when they won the Champions League, because Drogba was that his last season for them before he came back the season after with Jose or something.
His time was absolutely amazing, but he wasn't doing it at 35. What was he when he scored against United last season? I don't think he was 35, or even if he was, that he was nowhere near as prolific as Zlatan was. He was on 5 goals in 30 games or something.
The fact is, Zlatan at 35 is fitter than Rooney is at 31 because he looks after himself, he does his martial arts, his body's a temple, and he might be very, very arrogant, but he can walk the walk.
Well, funny enough, Man United released a video yesterday of Zlatan giving a kid his shirt and signing it stuff. Everyone says he's arrogant. He's really not. He's quite a humble guy. It's just in the public persona. If you come across as this big bravado, players are going to fear you. To be the best, you have to be arrogant. And Ronaldo's shown that. Messi, bit more subdued than the rest of them, but Zlatan is fantastic. And the account that said basically he wouldn't score more than 12 goals this season has been backtracking, saying, oh no, I meant league goals. You didn't put league, mate. All you did was say 12 goals. He's got 16. It is Christmas. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say I reckon he's probably going to finish off with around 32, 33 this season, and probably in some big games as well. So for me, he is the buy of the season, probably more so than Mickey, because I just think what he will bring to the team in the future is far going to outweigh anyone else we've bought. So, yeah, I just think he's quality.
There's an interesting point there, actually, because I think he said I know he said after the game yesterday that he'd been warned about how difficult Palace and West Brom away would be by the players, and I think you're right, spot on. He is definitely adjusting as the key point of Manchester United, the figurehead. But he has missed some sitters, and I think the very good point there is, I'm always quite blunt about this. United fans, any football fans, can be a bit like the weather. They will change. I've been consistent, and a lot of people on here have been about Fellaini. And even when the great Jose Mourinho says in August, "I'm going to make you love Fellaini," my answer was very, very adamant. You're bloody not. Not unless you're going to do a face transplant, put a couple of tits on him and stuff like that. I am not going to fall in love with him. He's a bad player. But some United fans were backing him again, even though they'd forgotten the last 2 years of him. So I understand it. You're always going to get fair weather fans, but a lot of fans were critical of Zlatan, even when we first signed him. I remember doing Zlatan Watch in the summer for the Euros in Sweden, and there was a lot of United fans saying, "You're obsessed with Zlatan, he won't be any good in the Premier League." All I said is, he might not be brilliant, but he will maintain that goal every other game, and goals win games. Simple as that. Ross, I'm bringing you in not on Zlatan, because I know you are a Rooney lover, and they're quite a minority on this channel, although we're all changing again, so I'm hypocritical talking about what I was before. Alex obviously said Rooney was finished 18 months ago, so it's nice to have him on the show. But I sort of agree with that. I think he is physically on the decline, but when's he going to get this goal? You're going to the game on Boxing Day, I think. Sunderland at home. David Moyes. Moyes, the man who gave him this golden handshake contract when Sir Alex would have sold him. Is it all set for Boxing Day? Wayne Rooney to break the Sir Bobby Charlton record?
Absolutely. I think he's going to kill him off like James Bond, honestly. I hope he does it while I'm there as well. And in front of David Moyes. I'm not a Rooney lover. I don't think he's absolutely fantastic now. He's definitely on the decline. I'd agree with that. But I just think he has something to give to the team when he's in form, and he hasn't been in form for a long time. But I can see signs of it coming back, and there was minor signs of it coming back in the last game that we played. And if we give him form and give him momentum, I think he has, nowhere near to the extent of Zlatan, but as an aging player, he still has something to give to this team. And I can't forget, I am a little bit of a fanboy, and I just can't forget the sort of, the day that we signed him and how, absolutely ecstatic I was, because at the time, I thought we were buying the best player in Europe. I thought we were buying the future of England, which his goals has proved that he kind of was in a dwindling England team. And he has given United a lot, and I struggle to forget that. But at the same time, I don't think he should be starting. And Mourinho's dropped him. He's done the absolute right thing with him. But he's introducing him slowly because he is showing signs of form. And at the minute, I think not just his form, but what he brings to the squad and to the team is kind of justified. But at the same time, if he is left out of the team, I totally agree because, Mourinho's decision is the best decision at the minute.
I just saw a comment from Red in a Bed saying if he breaks the record before Christmas, do you think he'll go to China for a 50 million deal in January? I'd like him to. I don't think it'll happen, but it's just reminding me. I know Georgie's not with us for that long. I wanted to ask him because he knows about this player and he did mention him a long time before anybody else has been mentioning him. If you watch back our old shows, £38 million for Lindelof from Benfica. Ooh. What are your thoughts on that?
I think personally it could be a fantastic acquisition. Swedish obviously gets on with Zlatan, especially in the old international setup, even though he's only really just broken into the team. Zlatan could be his way into the team. If Bailey's going off to the African Cup of Nations in January, we're going to need that extra centre back. I know Jones has been a revelation the last couple of weeks and Rojo's really come to the party, which is great. Smalling, question marks over his head at the moment. So if you take Bailey out of the equation, that leaves you with two decent centre-backs. Blind isn't really a centre-back, he's more left-back. Chris Smalling isn't up to the task. So Lindelof, very hard tackling, a bit more like Vidic. I definitely think he's a player that United should be bringing in. And that £38 million, yes, is expensive, especially for a centre-back who's 22, unproven in a top league in Europe. But definitely thinking about it, I'd go for him, and I would be excited if he came
just
in.
Quickly, so you mean he goes against the ilk and that he's a defender that nowadays can actually defend?
Yeah, he's very, very hard tackling. rather than this John Stones, let's pass it out from the back, let's take crazy chances. And because, I said it on Twitter earlier today, there's a lot of defenders out there at the moment that all they really want to do is play football. Now, that sounds bonkers because they're footballers, but they think they're midfielders rather than defenders. Their first job is to clear their lines, be hard tackling, get up to the strikers and press them. And a lot of them these days, they're a bit more ticky-tacky. I think football's become a bit too sterile with the whole kind of, hard challenges being wiped out. So Lindelof is definitely of the old kind. And if you put him and Bailey together, I think they would be a fantastic pairing for the future. But we'll see what happens there. It might not happen because they're still in the Champions League. So would you want to go to Manchester United who aren't in the Champions League? I know Benfica probably get knocked out to Dortmund, but,
It is. I think you're right. I think we do need a Vidic sort of defender. We need somebody who's going to go and attack the ball. I remember doing a video on him a few weeks ago, and a Swedish fan said, "United don't. He's not United class. We don't want him here." I think we were talking about Howardez at Schalke, definitely Van Dijk, Lindelof, and there was one other who slips my mind. But they were all, when I looked at them, that sort of defender that, it's not about playing out the back. They like the battle of a duel, whether it's up in the air or not. And I think that's what we need. And what I would say to anybody out there, I'm not going to say Van Lindelof is not a United class player, because you know why? Maybe if it was a right back or right wing or anything like that, but when it comes to Jose Mourinho and centre backs, I'll trust him to sign anybody, because what he's done with Bailly, who nobody knew about him, what he's done with Rojo and Jones, turning them into defenders when they weren't, is just unbelievable. So I would trust him any centre back he signs. I really do. I think he's amazing when it comes to centre backs. And 38 million might be quite a lot, but why do we say it so many times? Why do we ever worry about Manchester United and how much money they're spending? Because all it does is wind up our rivals. I don't care. We've got loads of money, so that's my thoughts on it.
People said 35 million was a lot with Bailly, and I would not swap him for any defender in the world or any amount of money in the world.
Yeah, okay. I think Drorty's going to jump in. Are you off there, mate?
Yeah, I'm off. I need to go wrap some presents and burn the midnight oil and all that kind of jazz.
Cool. Well, thanks for popping on, and have a good Christmas if we don't hear from you before.
Oh, I don't actually celebrate Christmas. I'm Jewish, so it's Hanukkah. But have a good Christmas. So take it easy.
Cheers. Thanks, pal.
Laters.
Later.
Bye.
That's probably when he exits. He's probably going to throw my images. Oh no, it hasn't. It's kept them all up. That's good. We'll stick with this theme though, because I'm quite interested in this. Obviously, Anthony Martial was paid £35 million for. Martial, Rashford, and Fosu Mensah is what I want to talk about next, and I will involve the live comments a little bit more now. I know you've been a little bit neglected, but it's hard when you've got three guests. Red in a Bed says we should be looking at Frank Tessie as a potential Carrick replacement. And thoughts on Jones and Rojo now staying at United 6 months, says Lee Hurst. We can bring that in as well. And Lynn says happy Christmas to Draughty. But what I wanted to say was Martial, Rashford and Fosu Mensah. Fosu Mensah not being used at all, can't even get on the bench. Rashford getting cameos, and Martial, he was back on the bench yesterday, but for me, should be in the starting lineup. What are your thoughts on that, Ross, in relation to those three? Do you have any concerns? Because everything's rosy in the garden with United at the moment, but maybe it isn't when it comes to those three players.
Yeah, the one for me is Fosu Mensah. To be honest, I'm slightly shocked that he's kind of on the peripheral and not really getting involved, because Martial, I think that he's getting the Mkhitaryan treatment. And I think that he's just getting a little bit of punishment for a little bit of bad form and a bad attitude that we might not be seeing. But Fosu Mensah, he shows all the attitude. He shows, even his social media tweets are absolutely fantastic. And even the little images that we see him with, Zlatan Ibrahimovic book, I think it is literally fantastic. And he's such a beast, and I just want to see him involved. And that one does disappoint me, and it disappoints me that he's being dropped for players that shouldn't really be getting in that squad, Fellaini for being one of them. But I think Martial is just getting, the Mkhitaryan treatment, and he's been told to stay. We're not reliant on these players like Martial anymore. We have the luxury of taking them out of the first team for a few, weeks, maybe even a month, like we did with Mkhitaryan, and then come back absolutely explosive. And that man management for Mkhitaryan was some of the best that I've ever seen, because he's come back in, not out of form. Just hit the ground running, and the injuries hindered him with that. But I think Martial's getting that, and Rashford, it does disappoint me because he is being played out of position, and that's one thing that it does concern me. But at the same time, even though he's playing out of position, he's still getting minutes in the Manchester United first team. For a player of his age, the experience is invaluable, and to have a striker like Ibrahimovic, Rashford and Ibrahimovic are two different players completely in the way that they play. But if he can pick just even a tenth of what Ibrahimovic does in his game into Rashford's pacey game, you're looking at a phenomenal striker.
I need to drink more beer. It's Christmas. I just want to say, I've got a question, Ross has got a question, and Alex has got a question. And just to feed into it, because I'm sure we're going to have a great debate about it. My question is, we're going to put questions to each other that you can all answer, and they're going to be debate-style questions. My question is going to be, and I'm sure that we'll be interrupting each other. It's not yet, but it will be. Who is the best Manchester United legend of your lifetime that you've seen in the time you've been watching Manchester United, whether that's at games or whatever? So get thinking about that. Alex, I want to ask you about Rashford. My issue with Rashford is that Rashford is ready. And I know you sort of touched on it a few minutes ago about he's 19, Zlatan needs to play and everything like that. And the reason I left the tweet up on Wednesday night when I said with 15 minutes to go I'd take Zlatan off and get Rashford on. And I kept it up there for a reason. One, because I don't hide behind tweets when Zlatan scores. I was really happy. But two, if we'd brought Rashford on for Zlatan, Rashford might have scored anyway. So I know he didn't, but there you go. But Rashford's ready for me. And I think I look at most Premier League sides and I see what he did in the Euros and I've seen what he's done for United. And my concern with Rashford is he's on the bench and Zlatan is scoring a goal. So you can't argue about that too much. But I just feel he's being wasted. He could go off on loan somewhere like that because he's obviously not going to get much game time at United. And I don't want him to stunt. I just think, look at Januzaj. He didn't play for a year. That was his own fault. But these are his development years. And I just think this can't go on next season. He can't have another season where he's just being used as a winger and a few minutes up front. He needs to be playing week in, week out. And I think he's proven as well. He's ready. And that's my concern with Rashford. He is ready to play.
I don't deny for a second that he's ready to play, but we're in such a difficult situation because, like I said, Zlatan's on 16 goals now in December. He's the highest scoring player we've had since 2002. That's 14 years. So it's like, obviously, Rashford should maybe get more minutes and maybe he shouldn't be played out on the wing. But you can't deny the goal scoring form that Zlatan's in. The thing that kind of annoyed me, well, not kind of, really annoyed me, is that when we've had Zlatan rested in the Europa League or whatever, that we've been playing Rooney as a striker, and Rooney's proven. And I'm not saying that he's been all that bad because I think he's actually done a decent job on the left wing recently. But I think he's completely finished as a striker. And I said before, because he doesn't have the pace, but Zlatan obviously doesn't have pace, but Zlatan is really strong. But it's just really hard. I don't know if I agree about loaning him, but it's hard to give him chances with the amount of games that we're having because all of our games are basically must win because we're in the position that we're in. If we have an injury, then Rashford should 100% be our first choice striker. But it's the same with Martial. I'd want Martial to get more games, but I'm sure we'll get into him later because his interview recently pissed me off.
Okay, well we can jump into Martial now because obviously there's quite a lot to get through on the show tonight, and I want to get through it all on the Christmas show especially. A few people have mentioned Verratti as a replacement for Michael Carrick. But Foot 24, very good player, conducts the play at PSG, and with them rumours have come along that maybe PSG would like Anthony Martial. Martial's French, not meant to be that happy at United. We predicted this in the summer, and I don't agree with what the club did about number 9. And I know this will divide people because they'll say it's just a number. But he was our player of the season last year. He was an outfield player of the season. He scored a lot of goals. He's our number 9. And then they give it to Zlatan. Now, I know a lot of people now, in hindsight, would go, Martial's been rubbish this season. Zlatan deserves to have number 9. But I personally think that was quite crap by the club, really. And if they were going to do that, they should have just took the number 7 off Memphis and given that to Martial and then given 9 to Zlatan. But the question is, would you swap Anthony Martial for Verratti, Ross?
No, 100% no. I think Martial is, regardless of his form this season, he's so young and he's such an up-and-coming talent what he can develop into, I think, is limitless. And he's shown signs that he's not a Memphis Depay, and he can handle it. And he can handle it on the biggest stage. Just don't forget how many times Martial bailed Manchester United out of serious situations last season. You know, the one that comes to memory is the semi-final against Everton in the last dying minutes when Martial breaks through and scores. And, you know, he's got so much talent. And Henry, who, you know, is French and is obviously a little bit biased, has also alluded to the fact that he could be the next Henry. And we have such a talent there, and we've paid so much money for, and I don't want to swap that or give that talent to any other club, because we've paid a lot of money for that talent. And his attitude needs to be shaped up, as Alex, alluded to there, and that needs to happen. And I think Mourinho is going to make that happen. Mourinho won't write Martial off. I don't think Mourinho is that silly to get rid of a player that talented, but he is clever enough to give him the treatment that he needs, give him a little bit of time out, and say, hang on, I'm for Manchester United here, and you need to be a team player, and you need to, just shape up. And if he does shape up, and I don't doubt that he will, we are looking at an absolutely fantastic player.
I mean, I personally think Martial played well against Everton. He got those 2 goals against West Ham. And he wasn't that great in the game after Everton, I forget what it was. But I would be playing him on the left. I just think Mourinho, I never got to say what I think about Rooney. Mourinho has wanted to shoehorn Rooney back into the starting 11 ever since he dropped him, because he likes Rooney. And for me, the best United team is obviously Carricky, Herrera and Pogba in the midfield.
Carricky.
It's Mkhitaryan on the right, it's Zlatan up front, and it's Martial on the left. That is United's best 11 for me, from defence forward. But he wants to shoehorn Rooney in, and to be honest, Rooney's not doing too bad at the moment. But I wouldn't sell Martial either. And actually, I don't think anybody's, just before I go to Alex, I don't think anybody said this in the live comments. Let me just have a look. Bilal says Verratti, one of the best CDMs in the world. And the question should be, who's the greatest player you have seen live? More interesting, says Live Forever. Martial needs to develop, says Arlong Ewan. Martial will win the Ballon d'Or after Pogba and Fosu, says Brad McNamee. I hope so. Martial is United quality. Goal against Stoke was brilliant by Martial, says George Kyle. It was. But you know what? Why not just sign Verratti? We don't need to give him Martial. That's United's way. But Alex, I know you wanted to have a little bit of a moan about Martial, so I don't know what this is about, but go for it.
Well, anyone that's watched the show in the past knows he's my favourite player. He still is my favourite player. But I've heard since what the quotes that I read that they were taken completely out of context. So I completely apologise if they were taken out of context. But how he's saying about how it's really annoying being on the bench and all this, yada, yada, yada. Which he should take Mkhitaryan as an example of. Mkhitaryan was treated, a lot of us said, like, disgracefully. We were all calling for him to be playing every single week. And he put his head down, as Jose even said, and you don't know whether, obviously, he might be just saying that just to, please the manager, was saying that he was fine with it and that he did need to. Because I read today that he put on 8 pounds of muscle since the Jose treatment. And you saw since Mkhitaryan came in that how absolutely out of this world he was. And it's just frustrating. And I completely agree with what you said earlier, that that the number change without his consent was completely wrong. But at the end of the day, it's a number, and I know it does mean a lot to some people. But it would be different if he had the number 7, like what you said about Memphis, and that was taken away, because number 7 at United is really iconic. But the number 9 hasn't really been that iconic, really, at United. Like, we're not synonymous with the number 9. So I just want him to get his head down. If we get the Martial of last season in this team, and this team is playing how they've been playing all season from the beginning of the season, we'd win the league. And I don't care what anyone says. People can say it's deluded or whatever. But when you look how we play, and the chances that we're missing, and the players that we have, we are on the cusp of something absolutely brilliant. So that's why I don't care when rivals are slating us every single week, because I know that we are just going to be absolutely out of this world soon.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I wouldn't sell Martial. And I just wanted to say very quickly, I'll say this and then I'll read this comment from King Khan. Manchester United, let's not run overboard. We've dropped 10 points, but we're still in a race for top 4. I think that's great, and I think what we've done over the last 3 weeks shouldn't be underestimated, because we weren't doing that up until this. To win 3 in a row, and 2 of them are away, and 1 of them against a team above us, is pretty good. We've not done that since the start of the season, so I'm very pleased with that. And I think all 3 results are brilliant in their own right, because they're all different types of results. They're like holding on to a 1-0 lead, they're coming back from losing a 1-0 lead, and they're going away to a team and they're getting that second goal as well. So there's lots of confidence there. But what I would just say as well is that Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Bailly and Zlatan, each signing you could say is a major success. Yes, Mkhitaryan took a bit of time, but he's played 3 or 4 games and he looks one of the best players in the league. Pogba's getting better and better and better, and for me is playing as part of the best midfield in the league, so therefore he is a very good midfielder. Zlatan is scoring the goals he needs to do, and Bailly was the best defender in the league till he got injured. So that's 100% success rate with signings, and he's only made 4. Name me a club in this league or even in Europe whose every single signing they made in the summer has worked out. Chelsea no, Liverpool no, Arsenal definitely no, City massively no. They bought a fat pregnant German who's now out for the season. Sarni, he may as well buy a Sarni because he's that useful. Bravo, he's crap. And John Stones, oh God, don't get me started on him. So City have had an absolute mare. But again, another press story that the press won't pick up on, that we have
Just to quickly cut in with what you were saying about John Stones, is that everyone in the press always goes on about, oh, John Stones is this amazing young English signing. Bailly is younger than John Stones, so don't let that ever be forgotten. And he's really good on the ball as well. And unlike John Stones, he can actually defend.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Anything you want to add, Ross? I mean, I can't think of a team that's had, straight away I can think Arsenal, they signed Xhaka, he's crap, and I can't think Chelsea, Batshuayi, done absolutely nothing. So there's no team, and Liverpool, well, their keeper, you just start with their keeper, don't you? But Mourinho has done fantastically well, and it's something that I think I tweeted out earlier. He's had no credit, and I think as United fans, we're never going to get any credit, but I think we do need to take that on board, that his 4 signings, actually, they've not been the problem. They've all worked well. You can easily say, well, if he's made 4 signings and they're all great, why aren't you top of the league? I think, for me, I don't know what you think, the reason we're not top of the league is because of the crap signings other managers made that he's got a big job on with the Deadwood.
100%, but with the other signings, there has been a few diamonds in the rough, and you just got to look at Herrera for that. But, yeah, 100%, Mourinho signings, and it really winds me up when you get all the stat men from Arsenal, Arsenal Twitter fans that always statistically rate Pogba, but it's not about the statistics. And our 4 signings have been phenomenal for us, and Pogba's probably been the pinhead of all of that, because he's played every minute of every game that he's available for. And yeah, he might not get the assists and the goals, but you've only got and I saw a tweet earlier today where you compare his stats to his form last season for Juventus, where he was apparently world class, and he's doing better than that for United this season. It just goes to show you that football's not all about stats; it's about the performances on the pitch.
And it just shows how misleading because I saw that exact same tweet that you're referring to, but it shows how misleading the assist stat is, because Pogba is our number 1 creative player in the whole team. So it shows like the amount of chances that he put on a plate for whether it be Zlatan, Rooney, that amazing pure world class. Who was it against? West Bromwell Palace, where he did that little dink with his weaker foot. Name me another centre midfielder in the entire league that could do that off their weaker foot, that quick reaction.
Well, I'll jump in on you. Name me a centre midfielder who's better than Pogba in the Premier League.
No one is even. It's not even. People can say
Jordan Henderson apart.
No one is even close to him. He's the most complete player in the league by an absolute mile. Because name me a weakness that Pogba has. And I challenge any rival to say, name a weakness that he has. He can pass, he can shoot, he's good on both feet, he's good in the air, he can tackle, he can intercept. He hasn't got a weakness.
Dan the football fan says, and you're 6th. I meant to say this right at the start of the video. I don't know whether it's because Liverpool haven't won the league in nearly 3 decades and Arsenal in a decade that they forget when the season ends and when the trophy is given out for the league title. It's given out in May, just to remind you. I know it's a long, long time since you've won it. I don't care whether we're 25th, you can't be that in the Premier League. I don't care if we're 19th now, whatever. It only matters where you are in May. And we will not be in 6th in May. And I guarantee Liverpool fucking football club, I'm turning into Carrick fan, we will not be behind Liverpool in May. I've tweeted it. I've said it on countless videos. We won't be behind you in May. So I don't care if you're ahead of us in December. I don't care if you're ahead of us in November. Whatever. You will not be ahead of us in May. That is when it matters. And it makes me laugh, these people who keep coming on about it, and Arsenal fans as well. But what I would say about Pogba is, there is no centre midfielder in the league. There is no centre midfielder in the league that I would take over him. I can't, seriously, I'm not even being biased now. If anyone, Ross, Alex, if you can genuinely think of somebody, let's just take a few seconds of fairness.
Well, do you know what? I've had an Arsenal fan on Twitter for the last week, and I wish I could tell you his name, because I can't, because I'd love all you United Stand fans to get on him, who keeps telling me that Granit Xhaka is a better player than Paul Pogba.
That's why I can't even get in the team.
Well, that's the sort of deluded, sort of Twitter people we're up against with Arsenal fans, and it's absolutely ridiculous, which is why, as United fans, we sound sort of narrow-minded when we protest to people that Pogba is the best midfielder. But he is. There is no better player. But any fan of their team, and you'll see it with Liverpool fans thinking Jordan Henderson's the best player, where, he couldn't even get into United reserves, let alone our first team. So, and that's what we're up against. But 100% Pogba.
We've got some interesting opinions coming in, and as always, they're welcome, even if you're leaving yourself open to ridicule. Ryuk08 says Mark Noble is better. We move on. Kante, somebody said Kante, but this is the problem. It's what Alex just said there. It's not, Kante is a very good midfielder. Matic is a good midfielder. There are good midfielders out there, but Pogba's the complete package. Kante.
I'll tell you what, Kante, United did miss a trick, because what United need to do in the next sort of 2-3 years is find a replacement for Carrick. And Kante's not a Carrick-like player, but he's the only player that can kind of fit a defensive midfielder role for United, because Carrick has proven to be instrumental in our team, and trying to replace that player is going to be so hard.
MEFC 20 times.
I think Kante could really do the job of what Carrick does, because obviously Kante is the best midfielder in the league in terms of tackles and interceptions and what you need like that, but he doesn't really do Carrick's job. Carrick completely dictates the play, and that's what's going to be an absolute ridiculous job. This season, we've had, under Jose, we have 11 wins, 2 draws, 0 losses when Carrick's been playing. And it's really, really annoying that it's taken this long. Anyone that's been watching this show for how many years know that me and Mark have always said about Carrick for so many years. But we are getting into, and I was saying, I think it was even last season, I was saying that we're really going to struggle to replace him. He's now 35, so I don't know how many more years we have of him. Maybe another 1 year, maybe 2 if we're lucky. But we need to stop. We've waited so long. Look how long we took to replace Scholes. We never really replaced him. It's the same with Carrick. We're just taking so long to replace someone, because you don't get many players of that ilk, but we need to be really alert and try to get someone like him.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody, to be honest.
No.
That's why it's so difficult. MEFC 20 times says Kante and De Bruyne is what rivals will throw at us. I think the answer to the question is there. If you combined Kante and De Bruyne, you get Paul Pogba. That's the answer to the question, because Pogba can do what De Bruyne can do, and he can do what Kante does, and that's the difference. Kante and De Bruyne are very good midfielders, but Pogba is a sum of those two. He can play the defensive stuff, he can run at people. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like stats. The only stats I like are assists and goals, and assists can be deceptive. I keep seeing people going, Rooney's got more assists than Ozil this season. Those assists that Rooney's got tend to be a pass to somebody like Zlatan yesterday, who goes past 2 players on his own and shoots, and it deflects in. That's an assist. To be fair, I think Ozil's a better assister than Rooney, and but Rooney's got more assists. I don't like them stats. I don't like Pogba has got the most take-ons in the league, or he's touched his hair more times than anybody else. What I like are goals, and I think stats can be deceptive. We don't need to defend Pogba. We don't need to defend him with them silly stats. The reality is he doesn't need to score goals. He doesn't need to get assists. That's not what he's about. It's about the combination of all the skills a midfielder needs. And nobody, we've discussed it for the last few minutes fairly. There is no player in the Premier League that is better than him. In fact, the closest is probably Ander Herrera, and we've got him as well. It's that total combination. Right, this one's interesting. We normally start wrapping up about now, but I have got a bit of time. I think the lads have as well. So if you want us to stay on, do drop a video on the like, and we'll carry on for another half an hour if the lads are able to do that. If not, they can obviously just put their thumbs up and drop off. But if you want us to stay on, drop the video like and we'll carry on. I've got more beer in the fridge. But this is an interesting bit. I'll throw this in now. We have got other things to discuss. But I'll go first with what my question was, and I know Ross and Alex have got one as well. Okay, and it's open to all you lot. Who is the best United legend from your lifetime? So, you might be 10, you might be 30, you might be 40. I can't include George Best, Duncan Edwards, Brian Robson, people like that, because I did see Brian Robson play, but not his whole career. I saw the back end of it. I never saw George Best play and never saw Duncan Edwards play. So I'll be going off what my granddad said and stuff like that. So,
can I quickly interrupt you and just say that Ronaldo shouldn't be allowed in this statement, because obviously everyone will then say Ronaldo.
Well, he could. Why not? That's your opinion. Somebody could say Ronaldo, quite simply. But Ross,
is that what your answer was?
No.
Oh, okay.
I will bury everybody. I will bury. I'm willing to argue this till midnight on my one, but I will allow. Well, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Ross can go first.
I'm going to look like an absolute knob with what I'm going to say, but do you know what? Before I say the name, it's because of what it meant to me, and I spoke about it earlier, and it was the signing of Wayne Rooney. For me, in my lifetime, given my age, when we brought him, I was ecstatic, and he never let me down throughout the first sort of 8 years of his career. He scored worldies. He scored that goal against Newcastle. He buried Man City. I mean, absolutely killed them off. He only become top scorer a couple of seasons, and I don't think they were his best seasons by far. And he did play second fiddle to a lot of great players that played for United over that time. But just for the signing, because he's English, and I'm a little bit like that, and what he was when we brought him, for me, my favourite player for Manchester United over my lifetime has been Wayne Rooney. And it kills me to say that, because I was a bit of a Beckham fan, but it's Wayne Rooney for me.
So Wayne Rooney over Scholes, Giggs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just for what it meant to me.
No, that's your opinion. I can't knock it. Let me just have a look at some of the live comments first. Ronaldo or Scholes. Samuel L says Sir Bobby Charlton, so Samuel must be over 80. George Kyle says Ronaldo. Gavin says Ronaldo. Moses says Cantona. This is going to be good. It will heat up in a minute once we've all done ours, because I think we're going to have to sort of claim it. Tom Cleverly says JPath99. A video on the Scholes says Bilal. Bokak says CR7. A lot of people saying Fazy says Rooney. Karzik says Cantona. Rooney.
Go on, Fazy.
Rooney says Hugan Ja George. Fellaini says Vahan. Giggs, Nelson. Giggs and Scholes, Ronaldo. Yeah, Alex, over to you.
It's so hard. Is this my favourite player or who I think was the best player?
Who do you think is the biggest legend at Manchester United in your lifetime?
Biggest legend in my lifetime is obviously going to have to go to either Giggs or Scholes. But from what I've seen played, my favourite player of all time, the reason that I support Man United by an absolute mile, and no player's ever come close to him, is David Beckham, as Ross said as well. Obviously, he's from from the south as well, so it just seems to be any Southern Man United fan, the reason they support United and their favourite ever player is David Beckham. But in terms of overall play, it'll have to be Scholes or Ronaldo, most people would say, but I would say Scholes purely because I think he's so obviously by United fans he isn't under appreciated, but by rival fans I think he has to go down as the most underappreciated player of all time, and Carrick gets a similar reception, but Scholes is way better than Carrick was. But how absolutely technically sound he was, that you wouldn't get an English player, well, we'll probably never get an English player again, that was able to dictate a game like him, and he could literally do everything except tackle, obviously. But yeah, I'd say Scholes was the best or the biggest legend of my lifetime. But I'm 26, so I wasn't really old enough to appreciate Cantona. From what I've seen from videos, I would say, and I'm guessing you're going to say Cantona was the biggest, but I wasn't really old enough for him.
Somebody said I'm going to say Van Persie. I'm not. I'll start off. If this guy had been English, England would have won the World Cup in 2002, 100%. They probably would have won Euros. They probably would have won Euro 96. No doubt about it. There is, for me, and this is only for me, there is only one person who is the biggest United legend in my lifetime, and that's Roy Keane. It's very easy. It is so easy for me to say it. It's so easy because I have never seen a captain or a leader replicate the manager on a football pitch better than him. Now, obviously, I was from Nottingham. I saw Roy Keane's debut away at Liverpool for Forest, and when he went to United, I was absolutely ecstatic because I'd seen him at Forest sort of develop in his early years. For anyone who knows, I'm not a Forest fan. There's a story to it. But absolutely brilliant player. And the thing about Keane that gets lost here is that he was actually a very, very good footballer. A very, very good footballer. I had an argument with somebody before in relation to the 99. We never would have been in the European Cup final if it wasn't for him. He single-handedly got us there. Now, somebody argued and went, I was at that game and Beckham played well and Scholes played well. They did. But it was leadership that got us there. An absolute legend, bar none. And you know why he gets forgotten? Because of the way he left the club and because Sir Alex Ferguson doesn't like him. It leaves me, and I'm going to go back to the lads about this and get their opinion on this, but personally, it leaves me feeling very disappointed in the club because we get the class of 92 rammed down our throats. Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs. I will tell you now, because I was there, they would not be the players they are now if it wasn't for Cantona, Schmeichel and Keane, especially 96 when we had the kids. They led them, they groomed them, not in that way, and they made them the players they are today. And for anybody who says that any of the class of 92 are above Roy Keane, no way, no way. I think it's fashionable to dislike Roy Keane because he talks nonsense a lot of the time on the telly. But if you saw him at United, Jesus, we wouldn't have half the titles we've got. He was absolutely amazing. And if I could bring one player back that I've seen in my lifetime, it would be Roy Keane every day because you can have individual talent, but it's a team and leadership that wins you trophies. And he is just on another level to me. Absolutely on another level. So it would be Roy Keane. And I can't even move. We've had some great players, but I cannot even move away from that. He is so good. But just picking up on that, lads. Obviously, Rooney and Scholes or Beckham, I'm not going to argue. That's your opinion. But just very quickly on Roy Keane, Ross. Why is he not? He's almost like shunned by the club. And many fans do it as well. He's forgotten. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think a lot of that is because he's so humble himself. I mean, you're a Roy Keane fan, so you've probably read his autobiographies, and there's a great comment in what he says, which is he gets frustrated that people said that he single-handedly took Manchester United to that semi-final in Juventus away, and he hates that because he says, I just did what I was paid for, and that was to play football, and that was the simplicity to Roy Keane. And that's the simplicity to the man that is Roy Keane, because he felt he was getting paid a great amount of money and he just did what he was paid for, and that was do the job that was asked for him. And yeah, it was annoying. And we all love Alex Ferguson, and he's the greatest manager of all time. There's a minor negatives to who he is, because no one's perfect. And it is that he shunned footballers away that are legends, and Beckham was one of them, rightly, I have to admit. And Roy Keane was another one, and I think it was right at the time because Roy Keane did start to become a little bit big. That aggressiveness started to come out at a time where it wasn't needed in the club because it was struggling, and it come out too soon, and he needed to be taken away from the group. There was a great sort of comment in Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography where he hammered Darren Fletcher, and it was also noted that Roy Keane wouldn't touch Wayne Rooney because he knew that Wayne Rooney would bite back at him and he didn't like it, so he'd leave him alone. But absolute legend, I totally agree, and United do owe their success to players like Roy Keane. I wouldn't single Roy Keane out because there was and you said it was Schmeichel, Cantona, Keane, key cog in that group of players that turned United into 20 times.
It is a myth about the class of 92. I've got to add it. If you were there and you lived it, that you don't win titles with kids, as much as I think Hanson's an idiot. He was spot on when he said that. If you took Keane, Cantona and Schmeichel out, we weren't going to win anything that year. and the kids did well. But they didn't win us the title that year. No way. They were part of the cog, but the engine was Keane, the finishing was Cantona, and the saves was Schmeichel. It was really down to that three. And great work by the kids. But the class of '92, none of them would get in my top 3 or 4 legends of my lifetime for United, because it would be Cantona, it would be Keane, and it would be probably 1 or 2 others. Well, no, actually, no. I probably would put Scholes in the top 3. And I did like Beckham a lot. But just quickly before I go to Alex, Scholes Legend 18. I've read loads of comments about Keane on here, but I think this is really good. Keane had a ridiculous level of desire, passion, demanding everything from the players around him. Not sure what's happened to players today. And I don't know whether anybody saw Sunday Supplement today, but it was sold as a big thing because Gary Neville was going on the Sunday Supplement to tell all the journalists off. I tell you what, I'd love to see Gary Neville try and have a go at Roy Keane on a punditry, because Gary Neville used to shit himself every time Roy Keane bollocked him on the pitch. And we missed that. I mean, Gary Neville was a good leader and a good Manchester United legend. But this is the thing about Keane. Beckham was a good captain for England as well, but Roy Keane was like up there. We were just so lucky. And I will go back to that and say he never won to play for England because he's a passionate Irishman. But if he'd have been in an England midfield instead of that joker Gerrard, we would have won things. I don't think we'll see captains like that. I don't think we'll see captains like that again. We were so blessed to have it. And if you didn't see it, unlucky, really unlucky, because he was a absolutely amazing captain. And also, as Ross was just saying there, I remember when he did that video, and a lot of people belittle him for him now and say he was wrong to come out on MUTV and have a go at Richardson and Fletcher. There were a lot of Manchester United fans. There's a book called This Is the One by Daniel Taylor. It's well worth reading if you can get it off Amazon for Christmas. That year, there was a lot of fans booing Sir Alex Ferguson. They wanted him out. Sir Alex Ferguson had a bad league campaign. We'd been knocked out of the Champions League very, very early on. He was trying to say that the League Cup was really important because that's all we won that year. It was a bad season. And Roy Keane had come out at the start of the season around November and basically said Kieran Richardson's too interested in driving his car. He's not United quality, and had a go at the kids. And what he was doing, he was pissed off. He was annoyed. He'd played with greats, and he was having to play with mediocre players. And he was coming towards the end of his career. It was a lot of frustration as well. But I thought he was right. Saying it how it is, I thought he was right. But Alex, then whether you want to add anything on that or you want to come in with your question now.
I was thinking of like a load of questions, and I was trying not to get like a generic one. So I was thinking to both of you, if De Gea was in either the '99 team or the '08 team, like of how Van der Sar and Schmeichel were lauded, and that people always laud them as like our best 2 ever keepers, purely because of like what we won off the back of them. Do you think if De Gea was in either of those teams, that he'd be held in the same bracket or even arguably better than either of them?
Good question. I'll let Ross go first because I'm just going to get a top up.
Do you know what? That is an absolutely fantastic question. That made me think, because I used to laud Van der Sar as kind of being in the same bracket as Peter Schmeichel. But you saying that question makes me think 100% David De Gea will get in the team above Van der Sar. I think he's 100% a better keeper. Peter Schmeichel is a different story. Now, I think David De Gea technically, with the way football develops and the way people develop, is a better keeper than Peter Schmeichel. But if you put David De Gea in that team, the way Peter Schmeichel was and the way he hammered his defence, I mean, there's quotes from Gary and Phil Neville, who are always around at the minute, saying that they were absolutely petrified of making a mistake because of the bollocking they'd get off the guy. And I think for that, Peter Schmeichel is the number 1. And I think David De Gea's the number 2. And Van der Sar's the number 3. Because Van der Sar played in that absolutely fantastic Man United team with a fantastic Man United back 4. Where Peter Schmeichel kind of made the back 4 his own.
I just want to add that Lynn Hall just mentioned about Brian Robson and what a great player he was. He was, and he played for a team that was not really a cup team and not really a league-winning team. And then he came part of the United team, stayed part of the United team towards the end of his career. I was just too old. I'm too young even for Robson to remember how good he was. So, and that's saying something. But I can't really comment on him. That's why he doesn't get in for me. De Gea, Schmeichel was fantastic. I think he's another player who didn't do himself. Schmeichel reminds me of Michael Owen because he Michael Owen's a Liverpool player, isn't he? And he came to United and sort of went up yours to Liverpool, won a title, and now he tries to be a Liverpool fan again because they're doing quite well. And Liverpool fans quite rightly have said, up yours, we don't want you, and we're not having him back. So he's in a rock and a hard place. And a lot of United fans don't like Schmeichel because he went to City and celebrated goals and stuff like that, and that's not... I'm not like that. I remember Schmeichel for what he did, and he made some fantastic saves. So I'd agree with Ross. Schmeichel number 1. Van der Sar is a very good keeper, but I would agree with that. I'd put De Gea in second. I think De Gea, for what he's done in the last 3 years, not this year, for what he's done for the last 3 years, unbelievable keeper. And I just think it's unfortunate for him that he's been doing it in a side that's not that good. So I don't know whether you'd rank it that way, Alex, or not, but that's certainly where I would go. Schmeichel, De Gea and Van der Sar. But all brilliant keepers. And I don't personally think there's a better goalkeeper in the world than De Gea at the moment.
No, I wouldn't swap De Gea for anyone. Literally what you just said. He hasn't been really himself this season, but that save he did against Crystal Palace was absolutely out of this world. With what keepers say apparently. Do you remember? I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. Peter Cech put out a tweet about De Gea about saving with the weaker hand, because apparently at Chelsea he always got told off about saving with the weaker hand, about diving like that and then saving with that hand. And he saved it again with that save. Look, I've seen it, the replay, so many times. And you name it, how many keepers could actually make that save. And it was absolutely unbelievable. But I've had this argument at work so many times, saying that everyone always says always about Schmeichel, Van der Sar. Ross said it about Van der Sar as well, thinking back on it. If De Gea was in either of those teams, we still would have won those trophies. He is absolutely unreal. And when we were finishing in these terrible league positions we have been since Fergie left, if we didn't have De Gea, imagine where we'd actually be. I don't think he's really been that much of a crucial factor this season, because Jose's managed to actually turn Jones and Rojo, etc., into actual proper defenders. But the last, before Fergie came, under the 1 season under Moyes and the 2 seasons under Van Gaal, De Gea has just been absolutely out of this world, and he doesn't get enough credit because we haven't won as many trophies.
Yeah, I'd agree. Somebody was just saying there on about Fabian Barthez, and I think it's Joel Merry who's basically trying to bam them down, and Seb Williams has just said Barthez was an accident waiting to happen. I think Ross is laughing, and I'm old enough obviously to remember he was unbelievably shit. He was really crap.
Butterfingers Barthez.
Proper shit.
He was. I'm
old enough even to remember him, and he was absolutely terrible. I always call him Butterfingers Barthez. He was absolutely fucking shit.
I saw a goal actually on Match of the Day last night. It was a Danny Murphy goal at Old Trafford from a free kick. And it was a crap free kick, and I looked at who was in goal, Barthez, and I thought, yeah, that figures. He's got no idea, absolute nutter. I'll never forget him running out miles to try and get Thierry Henry for no reason. That was a bad period for United, that really was. Ross, have you got a question lined up?
I do, and I don't want to be too generic, right? But this could cause a little bit of debate, and it depends on, I know all of us are old enough to remember the first team that I'm going to mention, but it's one that gets battered around a lot. Who was the better team, and who would probably win in a versus the 99 winning Champions League team or the 08 Moscow? We
did this probably about 18 months ago, and I knew Alex would jump in and go 08, and I will definitely go 99 because I've already explained a very simple answer, Roy Keane. That's it. That's where it will start and end, because the 08 team was very, very good. I mean, let's just run through it and jump in if I get a name wrong. But the 08 team would be Van der Sar. Right back would be Hargreaves or Wes Brown.
It's Gary Neville.
In 08?
He was still about, yeah.
No, I don't think it was Gary Neville.
I think he was injured because I think...
he was in the squad. Yeah,
it wasn't. Let's just say it wasn't prime Gary Neville. It was Gary. He was completely past it.
Well, Hargreaves played there in the Champions League final. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Wes Brown did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Wes Brown put the cross in for Ronaldo.
Yes.
Left back was obviously Evra. Vidic and Ferdinand. I mean, that's a bloody good back four and a good keeper. Scholes and Giggs were coming towards their end, which sounds stupid because Scholes was quite he went off. No, Scholes would have been in his prime. Scholes and Carrick.
It was
Scholes scored that semi-final goal against Barcelona. Yeah, absolute worldie.
So Scholes and Carrick in the midfield. I think Hargreaves might have played on the right.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's what I wanted to button him.
Tevez, Ronaldo, and Rooney.
Because he was so injury prone, people underrate him. But Hargreaves, like when he was actually playing, was an absolutely brilliant player. Say what you will about what he said since then, and like he's an idiot pundit and everything, but he was an absolutely brilliant player. He just couldn't string 2 games together because he was so injury prone.
Going to the 99 team, Schmeichel in goal. Gary Neville would have been right back in that. Dennis Irwin left back. I mean, people have been mentioning him tonight. You know, talk about humble. I'm totally humble. Absolutely flawless fullback. Play left but a right back. Probably one of the best we've ever had. So obviously, Ronnie Johnson and Stam. Johnson would be the slight weakness compared to Ferdinand and Rio. But that midfield 4, I've said it so many years. For so many years, I've always said Beckham, Keane, Scholes and Giggs. I think it's absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. I mean, in the modern day, it might not work because 4-4-2 is not used anymore. But as a midfield 4, you've got it. You've got the Giggs with the speed and the flair on one side. You've got Beckham with the tenacity, hard-working wand of a right foot. And the combination with Neville was the best I've ever seen. You couldn't defend Giggs and Neville in their prime because both could put a cross in. So it's not like you could double up on one because he could just pass it to the other one. Brilliant. Keane and Scholes complement each other superbly, and you've got the best captain there's ever been. The obvious flaw is York and Cole up front. As good as they were, they're not Ronaldo and Rooney. So a combination of the two would be the best team ever. I would go 99 based on nostalgia, the treble, and I just love Roy Keane, and that midfield 4 for me is where it starts and ends. But before I go to get Ross's, because we're 1-1 at this point, is we should have won the treble in 08. For anybody who doesn't remember, we were robbed by a referee against Portsmouth in the FA Cup at Old Trafford. It was a shocking refereeing decisions, and Portsmouth went on to win the FA Cup that year. We would have won the FA Cup that year, and we'd have won the treble. So fine margins. But Ross?
You know what? About 3 hours ago, I said the 2008 team, but I was swayed, and I was having a conversation with my brother at the time, and we spoke about the 99, and it was unbelievable, and it had David Beckham, and it had Scholes, had Keane, and it had desire and spirit, and I think that you know, I'm going by a versus here. I'm going by United 99 playing 2008, and I think the 99 would have come out on top. Just because of that unbelievable spirit they had and that will to win. And I think the 2008 team is absolute quality, and the names they had were unbelievable. But 99 was something else. You know, there was other forces playing parts in their games. It was just ridiculous and complete players. I mean, you said Dennis Irwin, underrated. For me, I never saw the guy live, but one of the best left backs I've ever seen at United, and unbelievable free kicks, set pieces, anything. Quality team.
And just before I go back to Alex, because he might try and defend himself further, we are discussing fine margins. You did lose Alex 2-1, but it is fine margins. It's really fine margins. We are talking about 2 absolutely sensational teams. Arsenal fans would be talking about invincibles against the George Graham team, neither of which have ever won a Champions League. City can't even, they can't even bring a team up. Liverpool would be stuck in the 80s as per usual, or the 70s. Chelsea, again, who are they going to talk about? The team that bored everybody to death to win the Champions League. So, I mean, this is Manchester United for you. Welcome. This is Manchester United. We talk about greatness. And that's what our history is. And you shouldn't dwell on history, but it is Christmas, and I think Christmas is quite nostalgic at times. And 08, 99, I mean, what a conversation. What a conversation to have, and a very, very good question. But you're happy to lose, Alex, or are you going to dig your feet in as usual?
Gonna dig my feet in as usual. It's like, you can easily make the argument either way, obviously, with how good the 99 team was and stuff, but I just don't think that they were in the same calibre. I mean, you see Gary Neville says that the best centre-back that he's ever played with and that United ever had was Jaap Stam, which was it obviously in that 99 team. But the 08 team had Vidic and Rio, who in my lifetime were the best centre-back partnership I've ever seen. Obviously, we had Evra at left-back, right-back. okay, we were a little bit weak down there compared to the 99 team, and obviously, like I said, David Beckham, my favourite ever player by an absolute mile, was in that 99 team. But we had Ronaldo, you had Tevez in that front thing as well that you completely forgot about. We had Berbatov that didn't even make the bench, who was an absolutely unreal player with a lot of people underrate, but he was out of this world. Sorry, what were you saying, Russ?
Look at the bench in the 99 team. I mean, Scholes and Keane didn't even play in that final. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
and we
they were suspended. That had nothing to do with the
suspended. But we had when we won that with Nicky Butt and what was it, Phil Neville at centre midfield. I can't remember the other one. And we brought on Solskjaer and Teddy Sheringham. And Teddy Sheringham and Solskjaer are the most underrated players ever. I mean,
although David May was on the bench in '99.
And this is going to be really controversial, but as an individual player, I'm not saying of how they fit in the team, but Berbatov as an overall player was probably better than Solskjaer or...
You're pissed!
But in terms of like technical skill and everything,
he was. I was. You know what, Michael, as you know, he was on over the weekend because we went to watch Rogue One, and he's a massive Berbatov fan. But we were talking about him training because he's training with United at the moment for his coaching badges, and he loves Berbatov because of just the sort of quality player he is. But he was infuriating at United. He had no pace. He didn't work hard. He didn't really turn up in the big games.
You don't need pace. Zlatan doesn't have pace. RVP didn't have pace.
Yeah, but Berbatov didn't deliver for Manchester United. Van Persie won us a title. Zlatan is basically rescuing our season with his goals. Berbatov, good player. I really like him. Got nothing against him, but you can't. Solskjaer was just unbelievable.
I'm not saying that he was a better player for United.
Hang on.
I'm not saying he's a better player for
Berbatov wasn't even at United when we won the Champions League. I'm pretty sure he weren't on the...
No, we signed him the year after.
Berbatov was at United. Yeah, we signed him the year after, actually. Shouldn't even be mentioned.
What, sorry?
Berbatov wasn't at United when we won the Champions League. He wasn't in that team.
He was dropped from the starting lineup. Look it up.
No, that was Wembley.
He was signed in September 2008.
Oh, was it the 2009 season? That
he was dropped for the Rome game, wasn't he? He was definitely dropped for the Wembley one, Barcelona.
Okay, but anyway, like I was saying, I was never disputing that he was a better United player. I was saying he was a better overall player.
To be honest, you know what, Solskjaer, it's very hard to call him a legend. Well, he is a legend because of what.
Obviously, he's a legend. Bloody hell!
It's very hard to put Solskjaer in the brackets of the Cantonars and people like that. But he was absolutely. I remember him coming on against Forest, the team I apparently support, and scoring 4 goals. And it's just like. His finishing was, even when he had that really bad injury and he came back, and I thought Sir Alex quite rightly was just bringing him back for a bit of a nostalgia and this, that and the other. But even then, when he wasn't the player he used to be, give him half a yard and a shot at goal and he still put it in. He wasn't the player he used to be, but fantastic. I think Solskjaer, if anybody never really saw him, go back and get some of them videos. He did used to get used as a sub a lot, but there was a time when he used to play him on the wing as well, and he dropped Beckham, and he always put a shift in, always very passionate. And I always think about Solskjaer, that game where we were going all out for a goal, and we got hit on the break, and I can't remember what team it was, but they were running away, and they were going to score, and Solskjaer just bombed back, totally took his legs out, red card, and then just sort of like went like that. And I think Beckham ran up to him, rubbed him on the head, and said, "Well done." And he was always all for the cause. And as Biscuit Lethargy says, there's no better line in football than Solskjaer has won it. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
But that's as well as that people like say about like older players and stuff. What was Teddy Sheringham when he chipped in that 99 final? I think he was about 34, wasn't he? Maybe even older than that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think he actually was older than that, to be fair. I think he was about 35.
I'm just having a look at the comments there, seeing it. Van Nistelrooy was good. He just wasn't at the period where we had a team good enough to really to win the title. He was very, very good. And
Van Nistelrooy?
Yeah.
What did you say? He wasn't at a period where we weren't good enough to win the title?
No, I mean the Champions League.
Oh, right. Sorry, the Champions League.
Yeah, he's a very good player. I mean, I was talking about this last night, just quickly before we move on to another question, that United, the thing that annoys me about United, it's great that we've got more titles than Liverpool, but we definitely should have more Champions Leagues. I mean, that year that Mourinho won it, funnily enough, with Porto. That was a Porto-Monaco final, and Porto only knocked us out with a stupid bloody free kick right at the end. That was a year we should have won it. Leverkusen over 2 legs in a semi-final, we should have beaten them as well. We definitely should have at least one more Champions League from that Sir Alex Ferguson period. That annoys me a little bit. But next question. A year from now, where do you think we will be, Ross?
You know what? I'm gonna sound like such a euphoric United fan, but a year from now, I think we'll be top of the league, 100%. And I get my United hat on, I get carried away with it, but and as long as you, as well as you two, and as well as every United stand viewer, has sat through 3 to 4 years of dreadful football where nothing's going to happen. We all hang on tiny results that ain't going to propel us anywhere. And now I'm seeing a standard of football, regardless of all the draws that we've had over the last month. I'm seeing a standard of football that is sustainable and it's fantastic. And I think we've got the players now. We've got world-class signings. We've got Paul Pogba, and I think we're only going to add to that in January. We might only get one signing in January, but it will add to our squad, and I think we're going to be fantastic. Come the end of the season, we will be above Liverpool. We will be above Arsenal. We'll be challenging, and next season you can wave all the others goodbye.
Alex, and just as a lead-in for there, I presume we'll have Griezmann wearing the number 7 shirt this time next year.
I do genuinely, like he's always said about that it depends on whether Simeone will be there, that he'll always stay at Atletico while Simeone's there. But if he was ever to leave, he's always said the reason he wears number 7 is because David Beckham is his favourite ever player. Good taste. What amazing taste. His best friend is Paul Pogba, and he said the only team he watches in the Premier League are Man United, and that's all on record. So if you want to go look it up, it's true. But at the same time, that he, like Griezmann for us, would play. Like in this scenario, is Zlatan still playing like how he is now at 36 because he's going to be a year older?
Doesn't matter.
So he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in this scenario, then, I'd say we'd be top of the league as well. But we'd be playing Griezmann, who I think we will sign, like you said, at right wing. We're playing Mkhitaryan out of position at left wing. But yeah, we'll be top of the league then. I think that if you build the team around Pogba, like I've said before, he's the most complete player in the league, and no one can deny that. Just look at how he plays; he's absolutely unreal. And so, yeah, I'd say top of the league as well.
Somebody just said it in the comments. Alex, can I just remind myself of what names you got on the back of your shirts in the summer?
This summer, I actually haven't got many shirts. I've only got the Lingard one, which was given to me for free, which unfortunately I didn't curse in. For some reason, the curse didn't work. But then the one I actually paid for was Martial number 9.
Yeah. So we've had just for those who don't realise the Alex curse of shirts. We've had Di Maria. We've had Falcao. There was definitely another one.
Do you want me to just go through them?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, Tom Cleverley, Ashley Young, Di Maria, Falcao, RVP, which obviously I think is the only success I've ever had. Martial number 9, so obviously the wrong number. Januzaj number 44. I'm sure I'm missing someone out, but yeah, along those lines.
So
I had as well when he was playing for in terms of my England shirts, Ross Barkley, and then when he was playing for Aston Villa as well, James Milner.
So basically, if Alex gets your name on the back of your shirt, you're screwed. And it's not even just 1 or 2. There's bloody loads of them. And Martial in the summer, it all starts to figure out, especially when he's had Di Maria, Falcao. It really is awful. Where will United be next summer for me? I've said it for many a month now that United will win the league next year because that's what Mourinho does. He wins the title in his first 2 years, so it'll be next year. I don't think we can win the league this year. I think Chelsea are just too far ahead, and I'm happy for that. Really, I'd rather United win it, but I'd rather Chelsea win it than City, Liverpool, or Arsenal. I just think it's too much. But I think we
Let
will
me
win
just
the league.
cut in quickly. Everyone in the comment section has been spamming it, saying, and I completely forgot. I don't know how I forgot it, but I have Memphis as well.
Oh yeah, he had Memphis as well. So any more evidence you need? Alex is a Jonah of the United shirts and names. But the one thing I would say, and I don't know whether anybody agrees with this in the live comments or Ross or Alex as well. My only concern about where we might be next year, because I think what's going to happen, and we're seeing it probably now, I think we'll have a couple more dips, I must just say before. I think we will have a couple more bad results in the next 6 weeks. But I think around January, February, March time, we will click and we'll take that form into the summer. We'll sign a couple of players, we'll get rid of some of the dead wood, and then next year we'll hit the ground running with players who really know what Mourinho's all about, and he knows what the club's about, and he's got the players he wants, and we won't make the mistakes we've made this year where we've lost a lot of points. But my only concern is, if we're in the Europa League next year, I would be concerned. I think that would be the only thing that would be the fly in the ointment for me, because people always say, well, what's the difference between the Europa League and the Champions League? And it's very simple. If you're in the Europa League, you play Thursday, Sunday, it's rigid. You play Thursday night, and as is what's happened with us quite a lot, we've played Sunday lunchtime, so it's like 2.5 days, but at most it's 2 3/4 days then you play. If you play Champions League, you could play Tuesday and not play again until Sunday. You could play Wednesday, play Saturday, which is the same as Thursday, Sunday, but there's more flexibility in the Champions League. So yeah, I don't know, your thoughts on that, Ross? Would you be so confident if we were in the Europa League next year, or do you think it doesn't matter?
No, I 100% don't think it matters. I know Europa League is a bit of a drain, but I think if you've got the squad and the squad that United have, you should be able to deal with that. And I think that it will come naturally, and you will start to do it. And look at Seville. I mean, Sevilla, I know they don't have a league title winning team, but they're in and around sort of their Champions League spots, and they've always done so well in the Europa League. But the one thing I will say, and it's a little bit off topic, is Griezmann. He worries me a little bit because he's a fantastic player, and we will sign him in the summer. I have no doubts. That's what worries me, is that United. For when we signed Pogba, it was the first time, and Zlatan, that we'd signed a player in the form of his career, Pogba, and that's why we paid so much money for him. And it worries me that United are signing a player that is a little bit out of form, and we will be relying on him so much, on such an out of form player, that he will be open to so much criticism. And let's not forget, United will pay a hell of a lot of money for him, which will bring that Pogba style Twitter, ingress on him, and it worries me a little bit. I'd love us to sign Griezmann, granted, but having him lead the line when he's out of form, I hope his form changes. It does worry me.
Richie CR, Alex, also makes a very, very good point. You mentioned Zlatan. The one thing that worries him is that will Carrick still be even able to play like he's playing now, another year on? That is the prediction, isn't it? Over the next, we've got to sort a replacement out for Carrick next summer.
We've been saying this, to be fair, for so many years, but with Zlatan, it's
Fosu Mensah.
It's ridiculous. Sorry?
Fosu Mensah.
Yeah, but he can't dictate a game like Carrick can.
No.
With Zlatan,
well, we don't know.
No, you can't compare them. Carrick is that out of this world at dictating a game.
I don't think there's anybody though who can do it. Even if people say Busquets, he's old, and can he do it in the Premier League? I just can't think of anybody that can.
I don't know. I know.
You know what?
To
butt in, there was a great tweet, and I think it come off the United Stand account.
Probably.
Probably.
If it was a great tweet.
Xavi Alonso said that if Carrick was Spanish, he would have got well over 80.
That was me tweeting.
That was you
writing in the chat.
That wasn't that great.
Yeah, terrible tweet. Anyway, but that's the thing. Carrick is underrated by the English football culture, but
I've been absolutely furious about this for years, that people don't listen. That if you just stuck Carrick in the England midfield since 2005, we'd have done far better than we are. Lampard and Gerrard are just the same crap player. They're not. He like Alex says, nobody can dictate the play. Nobody has got the positional sense. I mean, we took Scott Parker in 2012 instead of bloody Carrick, just because Scott Parker does more last-ditch tackles. Gareth Barry as well for last-ditch tackles. Carrick doesn't do enough last-ditch tackles. Why? Why doesn't he do them? Because he's in the right place in the fucking first place. You know, it's just like he is the most wasted, thankfully, England international there's ever been. But I can't think of anybody, even in European football. I don't know European football inside out, but definitely not in the Premier League. There's nobody who can do that role. You can get Kante in, who's a breaker up of the play, but he has, Carrick can have the ball very close to him and hit a 40-yard pass accurately over the defence into a winger. He can also do it along the ground. Just an unbelievably very, very, very talented player. And it will be a massive loss because you could get Matuidi, you could get Kante, you could give Fosu Mensah a run, but you'll lose that positional sense and the ability to move the ball. There's nobody out there. I don't know whether anyone disagrees. I can't think of anybody. Jordan Henderson.
They're not going to be able to do the job, but it ultimately depends on how well Carrick looks after himself. You have to bear in mind, Giggs, at 39 years old, was playing that centre mid position and was still being able to do like spray passes across, and like he adapted himself later in his career to actually still be able to do a job. Carrick still, he's not really showing signs of slowing down. It's like Zlatan as well isn't showing signs of slowing down, but Zlatan is like more about power and everything.
Well, let's
like spraying passes and dictating play. I think we can get another top-class season out of Carrick. But we've been saying this for years. We can't keep relying on him. This is the problem, that we're just so unbelievably lucky that he's been able to keep up this form for this many years, because we can't keep relying on him. It's like a similar situation of how Pogba said he first left United because we bought Paul Scholes out of retirement to replace him. It's a similar situation now with like Carrick. It's like we don't know who to replace him, so we're just going to keep playing Carrick for so many years. And don't get me wrong, Carrick should be starting every single game for United. Look at the win percentage, look at the just every single stat when he plays. But I just don't even know. To be fair, I don't watch enough foreign football to be able to say it, but I don't know who we're going to bring in to be able to do it. But
a lot of people are mentioning Weigl. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I've seen that as well from Dortmund, isn't he?
Yeah. People mentioning Kroos. He's just signed a long-term contract at Real Madrid. He's not going to come. Modric again, getting old. He's not going to come. And Modric hasn't got the physicality to run a midfield. But I think, I would say that Mourinho, one of his biggest mistakes was the way he started the season with Fellaini at defensive midfield and ignored Carrick. I mean, he ignored Carrick for at least a month and a half. That was... that's got to be down to the manager, as great as I think he is. I don't know what he was doing there. But one player I actually would throw out there, I mean, let's just dwell on this as we sort of draw towards the end. If you were looking for a Carrick replacement, based on the knowledge you've got, who would it be? Mine would be Ander Herrera. I just think I've seen him over the last few weeks. I don't think he's ready yet, but I think playing with Carrick, he can do it. What he needs to do is just learn. He's got the positional sense. I think he just needs to bulk up a bit. Whether he's got that in him, I don't know. But he's probably not that far off. I think people might laugh at it, but I think he's not that far off. I don't agree with Daley Blind. People keep saying Daley Blind's the perfect... No, Daley Blind's very one-footed. He's not mobile. He's not really that... I think Daley Blind's a left-back. He's a left-sided player. I don't see Daley Blind as a central player, but I'd go Herrera. Ross, anybody in mind if you've got to replace Carrick, which we think we need to do? Anybody who comes?
You know what? I kind of agree and I disagree, because I agree that Herrera can learn off what Carrick does, and Herrera is a fantastic player. But I think Herrera's game is more about winning the ball high up the pitch and harassing players. And what Carrick does is positionally be very clever and plays through balls very quickly. And Herrera's nowhere near that level yet. But he could learn that. I totally agree. But to fly the Daley Blind flag a little bit is that Daley Blind has shown at centre-back, because he's a dreadful centre-back, physically. He can't win the area balls. He can't win the physical challenges. He is a centre-back because he knows football in his head, and his positional sense is very, very good. And he's also very good tactically. He can play forward passes very quickly. And I think if you're looking at, Blind is nowhere near a Michael Carrick replacement. If you're looking at a player that can fit that mould the best, I think Daley Blind is the best mould. Now, Mourinho's not playing him in centre midfield, which rules him out as far as I'm concerned. But he needs to start playing him slightly further forward and let him be that Carrick replacement, because I just think that, and I'm talking about sort of world football here, and you look around the Premier League and you see Kantés and you see these amazing defensive midfielders, but they can't do what Carrick does. And I look at Daley Blind and I think, you're positionally very good because you can't play centre-back unless your positional sense is fantastic. You're very good at set pieces. You're good at passing. You just need to develop that role. But whether Mourinho sees that, I'm not sure, and we'll see.
I think this is why I love doing these sort of shows. This is why the live comments has always been a massive part of the United Stand, because I can't think of everything, and we can't all think of everything. And Patrick A and Roma Dude have said it. Andres Pereira, he played that position against Wigan, and he's got the physicality.
Yeah,
he's got
I totally agree.
I know it was only a pre-season game. We'd never really seen him there before, but if you watch that game against Wigan, he played there. He looked very big. He looked very physical. He moved the ball around exactly like Carrick moves the ball around. He's probably better. I would agree with that. I mean, it's a long shot, but I think it's a good one. Alex, Carrick replacement.
It's completely disagree.
Ross Barkley, here he goes. Ross Barkley or Milner.
No, I completely disagree in terms of the Pereira. Anyone that watches the show know I absolutely love Pereira.
Did you watch that Wigan game though?
No, I don't think I did. But at the same time, it's
you have to watch that to see.
Pereira. I've seen enough of Pereira to know that that's an absolute waste of his talents to play in the Carrick position.
I'd watch that though, because you'd be surprised.
It's the equivalent of saying Pogba could do the Carrick position really well, but think how many of Pogba's attributes you're wasting by playing in that position. I don't doubt that he could do a job there, and I don't doubt, what was it you just said, that Herrera could do a job there, but you're wasting their talents putting them there.
The one thing I will say is Alan Smith as a 19... Alan Smith is a way off player, but a 19-year-old, if you said he'd be playing defensive midfield, you would never believe it because he was a striker. But players can easily adapt into that role. And I agree with Mark. He looked natural. He looked absolutely natural in that defensive midfield role against Wigan. It was...
I would watch if you could dig it out.
Do you not get what I mean? That it's a complete waste of his talents? And considering he's so long, you're talking about Alan Smith. Well, I never even knew that he ever played as a defensive mid. So, but...
He played for defensive midfield at United.
Did he?
Yeah. He was the next Roy Keane, apparently.
Huh?
He was the next Roy Keane, apparently. Only he was saying that.
Yeah.
No,
what I mean, Pereira, we've talked on this show so many times that Pereira could be an absolutely brilliant player for United, and I still 100% agree that he can be. He's top chances created for Granada. He scored his first goal the other day for them. But
I want him to come back.
Plays that many attacking attributes on playing that position, and it's not an insult to Carrick. I looked on the other day, discussing about it, comparing stats about how stats can be so misleading. Carrick's chances created this season are 0 on Squawka.
Yeah, and exactly. So, yeah.
No, but I don't really like that. I mean,
shove your stats up your arse, you boring twats.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. That Carrick, the job he
not
does,
you. I mean, I hate stats. I find them really annoying.
Yeah, infuriating.
I 100% agree. But Carrick's job is so unsung that I can't even think of many players that even thinking about it in the Premier League, in the top 6 at least, no one does Carrick's job. And it's just such an unsung hero that I don't think anyone in our team can do it. If someone was to be able to do it, you've already sung against him, but it would be Daley Blind if anyone could do it. But I don't think anyone would be able to do it. I don't think anyone is up to Carrick's level to be able to do it. And I know people always slate Carrick, but anyone that ever slates Carrick has no clue about football.
Oh yeah, well we could do that argument all night, but No, all I would say is you probably won't get the footage, but if you watched that Wigan game, I think, even though I agree with everything you've said, it was an eye-opener. Because somebody just said in the live comments, "You're an idiot. He's a winger. What are you on about? You're stupid. You don't know what football's all about." Well, I bet they didn't watch the Wigan game, because I was stunned when he came on as a defensive midfielder. I was like, what are we doing? What's he doing? And then he just ran the game. He scored a goal. He looked really good physically, but I agree with what you say about him being a winger. But I'm just saying...
In fairness... No, well, let me just cut in. What they said, Pereira is a winger.
Yeah.
He is a winger.
Well, then they're an idiot, because Pereira isn't a winger.
He has been playing there, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he plays as number 10. That's not a winger.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just want Pereira back. I'm a massive fan of his. I mean, we saw him 2 years ago this summer coming up in America. He was the best player on the tour, no doubt. Best player on the tour, never got used. That's Van Hal for you. Absolute twat. But Rooney, we've discussed. Where will we end up? We've done all that. I think we've just about covered everything. I just want to just quickly say that obviously a great year for the United Stand. Thanks everybody who gets involved. If you are new, keep getting involved, keep spreading the word. It's been a really good year for us. And the only thing I would say is that it really is about growing the voice of normal fans, saying it how it is. And hopefully tonight has been all about that, very relaxed. We don't normally do it like on a Sunday, so drop the like on a video if you want us to have a couple of guests on, and we can do this more often. The week ahead, we don't play our next game until a week tomorrow, which would be a week today's Christmas Day, a week tomorrow's Boxing Day. However, we do plan to have daily content for you. It'll be Skype Goldbridge tomorrow, live at 8:30, where you lot can Skype in and have your say. We will have, and then there will be content every day for you. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because a lot of it is surprises and very different sort of stuff. But it is coming towards the end of the year, so hint, hint. And the transfer window is about to open up as well. Hint, hint. But I'm not going to. I will say Merry Christmas to you all. But I would say also, I think United have got a good year coming ahead, and I think things will get better and better. But there will be no break for the United Stand. There won't be a Sunday show next week, I would say, because that's 8:30 on Christmas Day night, and I'll be watching Call the Midwife. But thanks for coming on, Ross. We've gone for an hour and 40 minutes, which is ridiculous. It's probably one of our longest shows. But thanks for coming on. Give us your Twitter account and any little message you want to give.
It's at Hazza90, and follow me. I'm regularly spatting out of Arsenal fans, and follow United Stand. I mean, I'm a United Stand fan, and always have been, and it's great because it is the fans' opinion and the fans' message. So get involved, and we can all spat our opinions off, because we do know best.
We do. And Alex, you're still on Twitter. I know you're not as active as you used to be. He doesn't actually tweet stuff out. He just replies to people, winding them up. But
yeah, my favourite joy in life is just replying to people and winding them up. But I just thought of some quick question that I just thought of out of the blue as we were just closing up. Am I allowed to pose it or not? It was to both of you.
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Okay, it was just going to be, what role, if any, do you think Bastian Schweinsteiger will play for the rest of this season? To both of you.
Fucking hell, yeah. Ross, do you want to go first?
Do you know what? I'm going to answer twice. What I'd like him to do is be the number 2 of Michael Carrick and fulfil that role and take a lot of that responsibility off him. What I think he will do is be literally a bit part player, a squad player every now and again until he's sold. And that disappoints me. But that's Jose Mourinho. In Mourinho we trust, and I'll back that decision to the mountains come on.
I really felt that cameo was a goodbye cameo. I know he was on the bench against Palace. I think he's gone. I think he will go in January, and I think we will probably be discussing it probably early next year, saying, has he made a mistake? Because I think Schweinsteiger has got a lot to offer, but he's since when do you need height against some of these teams that we've been playing? We haven't needed height, and that's the only reason Fellaini's on the bench. And Fellaini's on the bench ahead of you could talk Schneiderlin, you could talk Memphis, but Schneiderlin, Fellaini's on the bench ahead of Fosu Mensah and Schweinsteiger at the moment, which I totally disagree with. I think Schweinsteiger is finished. I think it's wrong. It's one of the things that if you go back to August, September, I was saying, why aren't we using Schweinsteiger? I was being told, shut your mouth. In Jose we trust. Schweinsteiger's a lazy mercenary, get rid of him. And it comes back about a month ago, and everyone's like, oh yeah, we love him. He should have been involved this season. Mourinho, let's not forget, Mourinho has made mistakes. Carrick was the glaringly obvious one. And he was always going to make mistakes because he's a new manager in a big club. But in short, I think Schweinsteiger's gone, Alex, and I don't know what you think.
I really hope he isn't gone. Like, we never thought, to be fair, a few months ago that we would ever receive that cameo that he got. And I know it was only for a few minutes, but you saw how crazy the fans went, yada, yada, yada. He nearly even scored a goal in that appearance. And, logically thinking, I don't think he will get a chance to cement himself into the team, but my heart of hearts is hoping so much that he does, because it was just amazing that we did a special that it got 80,000 views when Schweinsteiger signed, of how excited you were, and then your excitement obviously was infectious, and it made me more excited for seeing him come. And I think the treatment he's got is unfair. Fellaini's obviously got a lot of flack and everything. He has got good chest control and stuff, but I don't see how managers can think that Fellaini is better than Bastian Schweinsteiger, who has won 8 Bundesligas. I don't know how many other trophies, but I know how many league titles he's won. He's gone down. He's won World Cup. He's one of the best players in our era. And so I don't get how Fellaini is getting in the team over him. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you think Carrick is playing in this team in the starting 11, and rightly so. I'm not slating for Carrick for doing that. But then if you bring Carrick off, if Carrick's getting a bit tired, then it should be for Schweinsteiger. It shouldn't be for Fellaini, who can't pass a ball 5 yards.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. Skype World, which is tomorrow night at 8:30. Somebody just said, Dan the football man says, I bet you wouldn't have a Liverpool fan on. You bet wrong, mate. We've already had 2 on. If you got the balls, come on tomorrow night at 8:30. Have your say, get buried. That's what happens with any Liverpool fan. But no, in serious, anybody who comes on gets respected. You can have your say, and we'll see what you've got to say. More than welcome at 8:30. Mark Goldbridge is the name. It's Skype Goldbridge tomorrow night on the United Stand. But Alex sort of had to bring the mood down mentioning Fellaini. If I could have anything for Christmas, it would be Fellaini sold. I'm going to ask the lads what they'd have for Christmas in a United sort of aspect just before we go. I will never love Fellaini. He would never be a Manchester United player, and I want him out of the club. Even yesterday when we were 2-0 up and he came on, I felt like I was going to throw up. I just cannot stand him. It's not personal. I just don't like him in a United shirt. He's crap. He'll never be any good. He's not going to, he's just not a United player. I want him gone. But I guarantee, just to rub my face in it, he will get a new contract in January. Ross, what would you have for Christmas?
Joe, if I had anything for Christmas, it'd be to make Bastian and Schweinsteiger a part of this squad, because I absolutely love him. Absolutely love him.
Yeah, good one. Alex? Memphis.
What I would have for Christmas is I can't believe that there was. I know he wasn't in his 30s, but he was 29. That we would have someone more prolific in their elder age than Zlatan. RVP of what I would normally have. But then my actual Christmas wish would be to have Mkhitaryan fit for Boxing Day, because since he's been on this run of form, he's literally been. And people can look back on this and mock me, but I said it at the time, and I'm just going to hold myself to it. In this run of form, I think he's the best player we've had since Ronaldo. So,
I think he will come back into the team. I think one of the nice things
100%.
to end on a positive. I think one of the big positives of this season is that to know, especially on the United Stand, where we've been doing this for a couple of years, and all last year we were going Herrera in, where's Herrera in. That we get the manager that we want, and then lo and behold, surprise, surprise, Herrera's probably one of the first names on a Jose Mourinho team sheet, and I think Mkhitaryan probably is now, and that's a real positive. We know he's got Pogba and Zlatan on there. He doesn't like to sub them, but you know Mourinho's sub straight away. It'll be the wide players. He never wants to mess around with Carrick, Pogba, Herrera, or Zlatan. They are set in stone unless they are on a yellow card or injured. He will not sub any of them off unless it's the last few minutes. He will always go for the wide players. But it's been a great show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. We will be back tomorrow night at 8:30 for Skype Goldbridge. thanks for coming on to Ross and to Alex, and enjoy your Christmas. See you later, lads.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Cheers.